Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Goldberg for the Sales Pro Network. If you have not joined us before, I'm a sales coach and trainer, and I work with both individuals and organizations to help them do one thing and one thing only, achieve measurable and sustainable sales increases. And if you have joined us before, you know that every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, I either do a live training or a live interview with somebody who can add value to the profession of sales, and today is no exception. Today's guest helps business professionals become motivated to help themselves achieve peak performance in their personal health and fitness. Please welcome Coach Brian Parana. Good morning, Brian.
Thank you, Jeff, for having me. Appreciate. Ready to roll. Bring some value.
Hang on. I'm getting a note from StreamYard. We're having trouble streaming to your destination. All right.
Technology.
Let's hope this is going out somewhere.
Yep. Let's hope.
Okay. Interesting. Well, we'll just chat for a while. We'll see if it's going out somewhere. So, Brian, before I get started with the 1,000,001 questions I have for you about health and fitness and all that stuff, why don't you give us your background? What brought you up to this point?
The story I love to go back to is, well, Rocky. Dun, 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 right? We all know that song. We all get pumped up the montages, the workout montages were my jam. And I love that going in through, say, middle school, high school. That got me into running, that got me into doing weights. Actually, one of my first jobs, serious jobs, was at the YMCA. I was a maintenance person, and I was doing folding towels and sweeping and all to get a free gym membership, which then translated into this whole thing. When I look back, and it unfolds from an exercise and nutrition and exercise degree to a personal trainer to I own 2 gyms, CrossFit gyms, for 5 years, and been doing online remote health, nutrition coaching, lifestyle coaching for the last dozen years. So 23 some years in, that's where we are today. Thousands of conversations, thousands of people, lots of lives changed for the better.
Love that. So I'm a sales coach and trainer. I teach the skills, the sales skills, the technical skills, and the mindset to sell more effectively and to serve more clients so that salespeople can earn more money. But I don't focus on people's health. I somewhat focus on mine, certainly not to the extent you do. But how does personal health and energy directly influence a salesperson's ability to close deals and maintain consistency?
Well, being in sales, I'm in sales myself, right? My body is a billboard, walking billboard for him. So we're always selling, regardless of if we're actually selling a service, a product, or ourselves to even our spouse or our kids or our social network around us. And if your health isn't where it needs to be at, you're already one step behind. People are internally judging you because we're just human. We do it whether we want to or not. It just is, right?
So hold that thought. I can't tell you how many times I've told salespeople it shouldn't be this way, but it is. People judge you the moment they see you by how you look, the smile on your face, the way you hold your body, the way you're dressed. So I'm with you 1,000,000%. It shouldn't be that way, but it is.
No, even say I'm here right now, but even if I just do this, I take up more room, more space, more presence, and it's noticeable. My energy will carry it in my tonality, in the words, the language I use, in the way I hold my body as compared to this, or even, if I'm walking around like this, it doesn't give, confidence in that person can help me the way I need them to, because we're all trying to solve problems here.
Yeah. In training salespeople many of us still do it, but in the days when everybody went on face-to-face sales calls, I would advise people, look, when you park in somebody's parking lot, before you get out, check your look, make sure when you get out of the car, you're standing up straight, your chest is out, you have a smile on your face, you walk confidently, because you don't know who's looking out a window and seeing you. And if you're picking your nose and, grabbing your crotch and shuffling in, they have one impression, but when you walk out with that confident attitude, people have a different feeling about you. And it's, again, shouldn't be that way, but we're judgmental people.
It is. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is.
Yep. So we've all heard the expression, no pain, no gain, or work through it or walk it off. Many salespeople suffer from burnout because sales is a high stress industry.
Oh, yes.
What are some of the practical steps that salespeople can take to prevent fatigue and to sustain peak performance in the face of that? There is stress.
Right. Well, let's go over some of the basics. There's really simple things that we need to do to be healthy in general. We need to move our bodies. We need sleep. We need to drink water. We need to have time to decompress and stress and not just go from one screen to another and Netflix and chill the rest of the night. That's not helpful. We need to have good social relationships. We don't want to be stressed out when we come home because work didn't go well and we're just going to spew all over our partner or something as well. So these are the basics that have to happen every single day for someone to be able to manage burnout, because your boss is going to ask you to outperform last quarter every single quarter that there is. Why? Because you bring in the bottom line revenue in a sense of the sales and keep the whole machine going. Because if you're not doing it, then they got to go find someone else to do it and operate the machine, the business in a sense. Those four components, if you don't have a small grasp on how to manage those yourself, then the burnout's gonna win. The stress, the compounding interest of that is going to take hold. You're not gonna realize it because it's just incremental over time. Even say 10 1% over every week, even, and you're in the sales industry for 20 years. That's a compounding interest that people aren't paying attention to, and it shows up in your body, shows up on your waistline, it shows up in your arteries and your blood panels, and then 10, 15 years later, none of your suits fit. You go to the doctor, they're constantly trying to put you on medicine. Maybe your partner's not that into you because again, we go back to this physical attraction, and your energy around them is not there either. So you're not magnetic anymore. Or even your sales just suck because you're not magnetic. You don't bring the
Mm,
heat, the energy, the passion, the vibrato in a sense that you need to be successful in that area.
mm. I avoid that potential stress when I get home by living alone with my dog. So that
Ah,
works really well for me. But I want to come back to something else you talked about, which is sleep.
yes.
I find the older I get, the less sleep I get. Not that I don't want to. I mean, I used to be able to, go to bed at,
Right.
midnight and sleep to noon when I was a kid. And now at my advanced age, um, I'm pretty lucky if I get 5 hours a night,
Right.
maybe six. I'm often up at 3 or 4 in the morning and
Yeah.
can't get back to sleep. And do you have any advice for people like me who are? I'd like to sleep more,
Right.
but
Right. You
my
wake up, you
body's not
see an
letting me do it.
alarm, and he's, oh
No,
my
I don't even
gosh.
use an alarm.
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't. I don't need
Yeah,
to.
you don't need
I've
to. You
never.
just wake up. I'm
Yeah,
up
yeah.
2, 3 hours all the time before I have to even think about doing anything, right? Well, of course, we have a sleep schedule, right? We've heard it time and again on the internet, on the YouTubes, and all this, right? There's a certain time where you need to shut off and you need to work your way toward bed, screen free, and decompress and do something other than stare at a phone or work or whatever. I'm a big fan of doing Sudoku myself. It gets me thinking about numbers and nothing else. What number goes in this box here? And then all of a sudden, I power down and I'm asleep within minutes. My wife's staring at me. She's not sleeping. My wife actually married my high school sweetheart, and we've been together for 19 years, so I understand that. And we have 4 kids together, so I understand that. 2 high schoolers, 2 middle school. Actually, my oldest is taking a driver's test today. So
Well, there's
fingers
some stress.
crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed he will pass so we can move on to that next phase of him driving kids around and doing picking things up, and then that's one less thing that I have to do. But going back to sleep, maybe that makes more us sleepless as a result, but at least my wife will be more worried than I will. But so we got that on the pregame, but then waking up without an alarm really helps, and if you just naturally do it, then that's just something. And number two is that people don't usually move enough. They sit all day and they don't actually make themselves physically tired. They are mentally and emotionally tired. Number three, we have all sorts of different sleep aids from melatonin, magnesium, things that you can take in a sense. And if it's really bad, maybe you need to get a sleep study done and have someone actually go in, because maybe you have sleep apnea because you're overweight or you're overstressed. And that in and of itself is causing you to not sleep. That could be a problem and you wouldn't know, especially say in your situation, your dog's not going to tell you.
No, the dog's sleeping fine,
Exactly.
right next
Exactly.
to me in the bed.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm going, what do I do now? Because I mean, look, I don't want to look at my phone because I know that's going to keep me awake. Uh,
Right. It's a
like you
horrible
said,
idea.
like you said about Sudoku, whatever Sudoku. If I read, I'll pretty much put myself to sleep. But that
Right.
means I've got to turn on a light. So
Right. Well, that's
it's a
fine
tough
too.
thing.
You just fall asleep with a light on, or we have technology and you could just have it power down at a certain time too. Or for me, I drink a lot of water and I feel like I have a 60-year-old bladder. I'm up once or twice in the night. And I can just turn the light off when I wake up the first time to go to the bathroom at 3 in the morning or something.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with drinking a lot of water. I have a 70-year-old bladder, and it
Ah,
not like it feels like when it actually is a 70-year-old bladder. That's pretty much what wakes me up in the middle of the night. And then
right,
it's like, I'll walk with my eyes slits and I don't turn on
right,
any
right.
lights. And, I'm praying that I'm hitting the right place on the
Yeah.
toilet bowl. And then I wander back to sleep. And, by the time to my bed, and by the time I'm in there, it's like, oh crap, I'm awake now. What do I do? And I actually try to meditate because meditation will sometimes put me to sleep.
Right,
But
right.
it depends.
Count backwards from 100 to 1, count sheep, stare at a spot, do meditation and just try and seek your zen in a sense. Those are all ways to manage it.
I'll keep working on it. Now, we talked a little bit about sales being a high pressure career and that stress
Yeah.
can actually be a killer. So, what are your best strategies for managing stress without losing momentum?
Right. Well, with this, we have to make sure that we're setting buffer zones in your day to manage the stress. There has to be time chunks in a day where you say a debriefing from a sales call. That would be a good idea. You don't need to stack one meeting to the next to the next. You are a human being and you just can't work 8 hours in a day. Maximizing your own strengths and weaknesses around your ability to manage yourself, your energy. Those are things that you need to be ultra protective of in the space because everyone's coming for you and they want you to make money and they want you to produce and they're going to book your schedule and they're going to book over. I can't tell you how many sales professionals I've worked with. Brian, my dentist appointment got booked over. WTF. But they need to go to the dentist at some point and take care of their teeth, right? Because that is something that the people see right away. And if your
Sure.
teeth aren't at least straight-ish, again, just another notch away from you getting that confidence or clarity are there. So we have buffer zones in the schedule, and you have to be strategic with them. After sales calls, before sales calls, you should be doing from any of the sales training. I've done a significant amount because I sell on the phone and enroll clients through phone calls a pre-call sales routine, a post-call sales wrap-up, re-listening to the sales call. Those are all important pieces of the puzzle in being a sales professional who can close deals reliably and consistently, and it be as easy as it can be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It,
in
it,
those
it-
buffer zones, real quick, we want to move our body, we want to drink water. Those are going to be really simple ways to regain control because most people are walking around like SpongeBob in the Sahara Desert. They're just a dried out sponge, and your brain is water. Yeah, here's mine right here, literally.
Always right next to me, and
Yeah,
I try to remember to drink constantly.
exactly,
And I
exactly.
like what you said about the buffer zones. I have my calendar set up with buffer zones for meetings,
Good.
but as someone who sells his time,
Yep.
somebody says, "Hey Jeff, can you squeeze me?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And
Oh,
I
I
find
feel
quite
you.
often I'm running from meeting to meeting to meeting, and it's like
Right.
I need a break. And then
Yep.
it's time to hang on. He's behind me, so I have to spell this. Finally, it's time to WALK the DOG. If I
Oh yeah,
said
yeah,
that, he
yeah.
would have
Don't
jumped up
say
just
that word out.
oh, he would have jumped up right now for sure, even though it's another 2 hours before it's time. But
Right.
that's a great break for me. And sometimes
Yes.
when I just feel like I can't take it anymore, that's
Mhm.
exactly what I'll do. Even if it's not time, I'll say, you know what? We're going to go OUT because daddy needs a break.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
building those breaks is great. So much of what I go to people's LinkedIn feeds and their websites to, develop questions. And so much of your stuff, as I was looking at it on your LinkedIn feed, I'm like, that's me. That's me. Oh, that's me. I'm so excited to talk to Brian. So, you recently posted about late night eating. So I'm asking for a friend. What's the one silly solution that you suggest to solve that?
Yeah, well, I'm glad that it's calling out my avatar, and you are because sales professionals, business people that are busy, that are managing a lot in life, usually a family, usually a high performing career. The magic is slowing them down and simplifying the process. And even with sales, it's a simple process. You find out what the person's problems are and present a solution that makes sense for them to give you an easy yes, and give them a no-brainer offer. And they're like, yeah, I can help you. Now that silly the solution that I gave to late night eating, this guy was not necessarily eating just say 9, 10, 11 o'clock when it's dark out, but in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. in a sense. Now, the silly solution that we came up together that worked for him, because my job is to create solutions for the individual person. Right. I can give you, hey, just don't eat at night. Right. That's it. We shouldn't be eating at night. It's not the right time in the day to put food in your mouth. Right. Nothing like put in a whole meal's worth of calories in your mouth and then you just sleep for 8 hours or 5 hours. Now, he used caution tape and he would put caution tape over the door frame to allow that to be a barrier. And we want to create small barriers that make it just even if it's this much harder. So, example, you say you're addicted to social media, just as an example, and or you use it for sales and you're constantly scrolling through LinkedIn. If you wanted to break that habit, you delete the LinkedIn app and then you log in through the browser and go about it that way. That is just such a subtle inconvenience, but it's enough for a human to derail and just not want to do it. So the caution tape is an example. Or the other example I gave at the end of that little clip was put things above the cabinet above the fridge. That hard to reach place where you have to stretch. If you're tall enough, you can stretch and work it. But if you're not, you gotta go drag a chair over. If you're addicted to food, number one, don't buy the stuff. Don't have Oreos and chips and all this garbage that's gonna take you down a low energy result and increase in your clothing size and a decrease in your sales in a sense. Don't have it there. But if you do have stuff in the house and because of other people live with you and you have to, you can't just have martial law on no sweets and treats and all this stuff in the house. So say, for example, my house, we don't have a lot of junk food, but there is food in the house. And even the kids will prioritize certain things over others, especially if they come in the house. By putting them up in that place, they are way less likely to do because it's out of sight, out of mind. That was the silly strategy of we want to have a pattern interrupt in a sense of how do we get this going. Say you gave that example of someone showing up in the car before their sales meeting, and a simple pattern interrupt is when you're going to arrive at that parking lot. Set an alarm if you are just not paying attention to this. This is just an unaware the process. You just get out and you pick your nose and you scratch on the way in, and that's just what you do because you're not paying attention. Well, we need awareness. Now Jeff made you aware. Let's set a timer to go off at 5 minutes till you are parking and getting ready to walk into that office to say, hey, okay, like it's game time. We need to shift into full go mode here, and that's just a simple pattern interrupt to allow for that person to get in a better mind frame to go make the sale.
Got it. So the cabinet above the refrigerator, that's where the alcohol is. So I'm not putting my snacks there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if do you know the actor Zac Efron?
Oh, of course.
Guy's in incredible shape. So I had my daughter, who's really good with this stuff, take a picture of him, with it, he's half naked, and put my head on it, and that's on the snack cabinet. So every time I go there, I look at that first and go, I'm not going to look like that, but eating that stuff. And what you said before is exactly what I did because my downfall used to be candy. I was great in the morning, good in the afternoon, but after dinner, from the time I would finish eating dinner till the time I would fall asleep, and I mean, I'd be in bed eating Twizzlers and gummy bears and stuff like that, and I just stopped buying them. And I actually found that after a few months of not constantly feeding myself with sugar, and I tried some stuff, and I'm like, I don't know why I used to power this down. It's okay, but it didn't have that same rush. Right. And I know that I read that sugar activates the same places in the brain that cocaine does. It's hyper
Yeah,
addictive.
you get
It's
those studies and it's all lit up like a Christmas tree in there,
crazy,
right?
crazy. And
Sugar
I
begets
stopped
more
drinking
sugar,
soda constantly, and I'm drinking
right?
more water, and that's how I've
Right.
dropped about 18 or 19 pounds.
Yeah.
I've still got a little bit to go, but we'll talk about that later. How can better energy and focus give a salesperson an edge over competitors?
Yeah, we're just gonna go right back to this whole undertone that we did. Say I'm the prospect, I'm in my office, and I have two sales pros come in to sell me their thing. I need their thing, I want their thing. It's gonna go back to who is gonna give me the thing. And I may do say in general, most offers are gonna be somewhat similar, right? Because it's a very specific need that I have. So they're gonna give me the outcome that it'll be different. So, for example, in my world, it's very easy to fall into the trap of offering weekly phone calls and daily texts and a workout plan and a meal plan, right? That's just the general protocol that most, in quotations, Brian's are going to do. But I have to find a way to elevate my abilities around that and provide a better vehicle that's more attractive for someone to want my stuff. And we'll talk about that later. But when they walk in and they do their thing, it's going to be that first human response. Who do I like more? Who do I know, like, and trust? And in the first 60 seconds is going to do that. I would like to say that I've been in sales a long time and I've literally sold myself in a sense to people to get them to buy into me. And I'll oftentimes go from they don't know me to they've giving me money in under an hour, literally from the internet. I've had that before. They didn't know me. Now we're on a phone call and they're like, wow, you're pretty quick. I'm like, well, it happened to be open. And then I have to go into that no like trust, expert authority very quick. And I figure out how to do that. So their confidence, even a handshake or the way they look at me or their language that they use, the way they do it. I'm hypersensitive to communication because I get on podcasts like this using filler words a lot, decreases their they're themselves in my eyes. It's just like, oh, you can't say a sentence without using the word like 8 times or something. It's just
Or
annoying now.
yeah.
Can you just not talk? Just pause. Those are going to be the things that start to get that edge. And again, we go back to those basic things I said at the very beginning: having a handle on getting enough adequate amounts of water, adequate amounts of movement, adequate amounts of sleep, having an idea of what nutrition is. So many people say they know what to do, but they're not doing it. That's number one. And I get them to do the thing, but then also educate them. Not just hand you the fish, but teach you how to fish. Look at a nutrition label. What does it say? That in and of itself gives you the key identity of what this food is and how it's going to work for you, not only in that single meal, but in the rest of the meals in the day. That's super important to know and understand to make a better educated decision, especially if you're a salesperson on the road or you travel a lot. You are at the whims of other people preparing your food. And if you're just eating whatever your client is eating in the client meals, or you're just sufficing with whatever is available or whatever was the closest restaurant, you're setting yourself up for a disadvantage because you just don't feel well.
Hmm. And I know you started this conversation by talking about two different salespeople, and I assume you were going to say, if you've got two salespeople with the same offer and about the same price, if one's trim and attractive and athletic looking
Yep.
and one's 400 pounds, you're probably going to go with just because it
Probably.
feels better. And I
Yes.
have a perfect example. When my first daughter was born, my now ex-wife, but wife at the time, and we found a pediatrician a few blocks from our house. So that was the first person we went to meet.
Right.
But when we walked in, he was severe. He must have weighed 350 pounds,
Uh,
and an ashtray on his desk filled with cigarette butts. And I'm like,
doesn't even
I'm
make
not going to take
sense.
my kid to a doctor who's overweight and smokes. That's
Right.
ridiculous. And
Right.
we ended up going to somebody who was a half an hour away, but they looked like they were physically
Yeah.
fit and
Well,
in
even
shape.
that is, say we pay extra above and beyond insurance because we don't believe in the insurance network provided doctor solution that they did. It feels like that insurance hamster wheel thing, and we pay extra to go to a specific person that we know, like, and trust, that knows all four of our kids individually and knows the Piranha family, and we give her a monthly, we have our monthly stipend that we give her. So
Yep.
So
I
yeah,
hear you. What are some of the common mistakes that people make when they're trying to get healthy or lose weight?
it's that we have driven people in your community, right? Imagine the majority of people are go-getters, right?
Sure.
And they have to identify with that all or nothing. They always have to be on. They have to white knuckle the journey in a sense, and they have to do the extreme things. And it's just simply not true. That's decades of diet rhetoric that you have to do. Literally, for a lot of people, we go over the basics because I guess I'd imagine in your situation too, with you coaching people like I'm your client avatar. I am someone that's in a sales position that doesn't want to be in a sales position. I just want to help you lose the weight, but I have to be in a sales position and I have to post constantly and I have to refine all these other skill sets that I have to be able to get someone to know, like, and trust me and want to hire me on. Now, what ends up happening is that white knuckle, we need to find a middle gear mentality. That's a very easy thing that I've coined, and we have to find that balance. We can't go all or nothing because so many people do that all or nothing and they are in a worse position later on. They don't win. So it didn't
Mm.
work. It worked for that small instance. It's like using a sales hack or a sales framework in a sense, or a fast action discount or something. But at some point, you wear out your audience and then you have to go find something else. And then I imagine you'd just say, hey, we need to be true. We need to be authentic. We need to have just the basics in selling down and take people through a buyer's journey in a sense because they want to buy. I want your thing because I have this problem, but they want to feel it's an authentic way. And I even saw your LinkedIn post of like people just drowning you in the DMs, and it's so true. It's just like, oh my gosh, please don't. Don't.
Yeah,
Please don't.
I can't resist mentioning that since you brought it up. So yesterday, as you just mentioned, Brian, I posted it because somebody, and this happens to me 5 times
All
a
the
day,
time.
every
Yeah,
day.
yeah. All the
Somebody
time.
reaches out to me on LinkedIn. Let's connect. I accept the connection, and immediately there's a DM in there saying, "Hey, let me tell you how I work with coaches like you to help you get more appointments."
Right.
Really? Really? I don't
Right.
know you. LinkedIn was, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've been on LinkedIn for 20 years. I think it's about 22 years old.
Yeah.
And it was originally designed for networking. The
Yes.
networking that we do face to face, it was designed to do that online, and it
Yes.
was brilliant at it. Now it's used for many other things, selling,
Right.
recruiting, and other things. But
Right.
anybody who's, it's like, I always equate it to this. When you connect with me on LinkedIn and immediately try to sell me something, it's like me walking into a bar and walking up to a woman and going, "Hey, want to come back to my place?" Not
Yeah.
hello, no
Yeah.
drinks, no, let me
One out of
introduce
a
myself.
hundred, you might get that. You might get lucky
Well,
every
if
once
I
in a
look
while,
like
but
you, Brian, if I look like you, maybe, but me, more like 1 out of 1,000. Unless I always say, unless it's 2 a.m. and she's had enough beers. But it doesn't. It just doesn't
Right.
work.
No.
And you also mentioned something that I can't resist. Anybody who's been following this podcast, podcast is about 4.5 years old, knows that I typically have been working with professional sales organizations. I've worked with
Right.
companies like Cisco and Siemens and
Right.
Aramark and
Right.
Citibank and all over the world. And I've coached professional salespeople one-on-one. And about 6 months ago, I shifted my focus. And you're right. You are. Of course, I'm not trying to sell you, but you are my current client avatar because I invented something called the Sales Confidence Lab, which is for what I call the accidental salesperson, which is a coach, a consultant, a solopreneur who doesn't want to sell, probably thinks poorly of salespeople, definitely doesn't want to ask for money and just wants to serve. But
that's
you
my
can't
wife.
do that unless you know how to sell. So it's a 12-week live program where we meet once a week, and I'm taking these people who don't think highly of salespeople and giving them the mindset and the skill set to enroll people naturally with 100% integrity. So if anybody other than Coach Brian, who is my avatar, is interested, please reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Definitely.
Talk a little bit about the power of language when it comes to self-esteem or self-care and really overall health. I think I know what you're talking about, but I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Self-talk. It's prominent. It's
I'm
the
too
thing.
fat. I can't lose weight.
I'm a failure. Nothing works for me. We can go on and on. I have clients that literally wake up, step on a scale, and those 10 seconds derail their whole day. Can we throw the scale away, please? This is not helpful.
Oh, I love the scale because when I don't care if I lost an ounce or a tenth of an ounce. Oh yeah, baby. And if I gained a little bit, at least it's feedback knowing that something I did yesterday went wrong.
Bring the data,
You
not
say
the
get rid of it
drama.
completely?
Right? You
No, there's
say
no
that all
drama
the
about
time,
it.
I'm
It's not like
sure.
I'm beating myself up.
Oh,
So are you still saying get rid of it completely?
In that situation, if someone derails their day, yeah, this is not a
No, I don't do
good
that.
use to measure success. Success is defined so many different ways. Even you, if I was your client, you have to understand what my level of success is. If you're coming at me, bro, like I actually canceled a consult. I got on another podcast that was a funnel to get in front of their ideal clients to then get them on a sales call. And it was a beautiful process, and it happened super fast. I mean, literally, the lady messaged me an enticing message. I said yes. Within 12 hours, I was on on their podcast, and then they booked me in a call. But then I watched the other video after that. It's like, oh, these guys are they 7, 8, 9 figure. Like, that's not where I'm at in my buying journey or in my business journey and this stuff. Like, if I just work with 100 guys this next year, that's more than enough for me. I don't need to work with 1,000. So if you come at me like, dude, we need to have 300K months and stuff. I don't even know what that means, man. I'm just trying to get to 20 or 30K months in a sense, if that was my goal, or vice versa. If you're just like, oh yeah, we gotta get 10K a month, like, dude, I did 10K a month 5, 8 years ago. Like, I need to build a team, and so the approach has to align with the success of the client. So I just want to throw that out there, and you totally align with that too, I'm sure. So self-talk is so important. And then, say, the sales game, the pre-call frame of, it should be literally a routine. I can remember Tony Robbins going through some of his pre-pump up stories that he would talk about how he's jamming to music and having this entrancing affirmation going into. I actually saved the small chunk of his affirmation that he would say, incantation. There was the incantation of what he would say. Then he was going into the sales, so that he was just so pumped up. And something that, another question is coming up, but is the power of frames. The biggest frame in the room is going to win. So if again, those two sales pros come into my office and they have a similar offer, all the same stuff, the biggest frame, the biggest personality, the one that I get along with more is going to be the one that ends up winning. Even if it costs an extra 100 or $1,000 more, I know, like, and trust that person, or I feel better with them. So that's going to be it. Self-talk, and guarding that to the best of your ability. And if you suck at it, if you always just walk around with I suck, then you need to find some help. You need to find someone to help break those patterns of behavior, those internal thoughts, to get you unstuck, so that you do not have to live there. You literally are telling yourself you're creating your own world and existence. And if you can master this first, then you can master what comes out of your mouth and how you move your body to then be in a sales position that closes. I don't know what's the average. Say 10% better than the average in the industry, and then you're making bank, which then levels up your life, so that you don't have stress around money. You can afford things, and when things break, it's like, oh, the engine light's on. Back in the day, that would stress me out. Like, oh, geez, how much is it going to cost now to fix my car? And that's not a problem, right? It still is a problem, right? I don't want to fix my car, but I have cash flow and abilities to replenish that money quickly, and it's not a problem. So that it just levels up your life.
Yeah, I could not agree more. In fact, the very first session of the Sales Concept Confidence Lab focuses on that
Yeah,
mindset
good.
and
See?
self-talk,
Yep.
because people have, just like, I can't lose weight, or I'm too fat, or I can't sell. I hate salespeople.
Yeah.
Selling is scummy.
Yep.
We got to get rid of that first. And something else I did, which I'd love to have your opinion on, besides weighing myself every morning, which you're iffy
But
on.
and you can, if that's aligned with what is good for you and you're a numbers driven person, yes, let's do that every day.
As
Now,
long as it doesn't derail me.
yeah, and I'm still going to buffer. Hey, Jeff, we're going off a 7 to 10 day cycle of time to allow for the rule of averages, the law of averages, to play out. So every
Yeah.
week is when we're basing what we do and decide on what is going to happen or not. It just is, imagine, hey, you're going to take 5 or 10 sales calls, and we're going to take the average off those, not on one or two, and you'll go ahead and close either, it might suck. Well, you might close the next three, and now you're 55% close rate, and would be pretty good.
Yeah. The other thing I did, though, besides weighing myself, is I have an accountability partner, and every morning
Yeah,
text
definitely.
each other our weight. and we either applaud each other and go, okay, you didn't lose anything today, but make it a great day anyways. You can get it back. So having somebody else,
Yeah, definitely.
left to my own device, and I'm a pretty disciplined guy, but
Right.
left to my own devices, I love myself and I'll give myself a break. And sometimes we need somebody not to beat us up, but to say, hey man, you told me you were going to eat properly and drink more water and get some exercise. If you're not going to do it, I don't want to be accountability partners with you. And to me, that's the essence of any good coach or partner. I don't need somebody who's going to say, it's okay, I'm sure you tried your best. I need somebody who's going to say, hey man, well, are you committed or not?
Real quick, again, we go back to the success of the client and what my job is to align with their process. And if I would do that, say, all or nothing approach on one person, it might derail their progress. Whereas on another person, they need that kick in the pants, in a sense, to get them, oh, you're right, man. I totally gave in that time. And that's the art of the coach and the process in and of itself, for whoever you're working with, so that they get it. Because then if you can cultivate that type of environment in their head. I have people that hate going to the gym, and 3 weeks later, they self-sign them up to the gym. They got a membership and they didn't even tell me. I said, why did you tell me? I would have given you an air high five for that, because you hated going to the gym. But because I met them where they're at, and I gave them incremental things, action points to work on, that they built the confidence and the energy, and the decision became a lot easier. Oh, it makes sense that I need to go to the gym. It makes sense that I need to run ads, and I need to post relevant content toward my ICA, and I need to hit people up in the DMs, not spam like, but get the hand raiser and get them the inbound marketing, a magnetic attraction. I have to learn those skills if I want to thrive in my environment and win.
Yeah, I think it's also important to find out what works for you, because what works for you might not work for everybody. I don't like going to the gym. I've joined a gym and just didn't like it. So, but I like being
body
at home.
surf, like you said, like that
Yes,
would
I
probably
body
be a
surf,
really good thing.
You know what else? I like riding my bike. So I have a bicycle, and I also have an indoor bicycle for the winter. So I can constantly do that. I have weights in the house, some exercise things. So, you got to do what works for you, as long as it's actually working. Let's talk about sales leadership. I work with a lot of salespeople, but both professional and non-professional, but also, sales managers, sales VPs. How can a sales leader encourage a culture of health within their team without seeming like they're being pushy, or maybe it's none of their business?
Yeah, definitely. Easiest thing is lead by example, right? You just do it. It's part of who you are. You take lunchtime to go work out, in a sense, or you walk outside, or you encourage an environment where, hey guys, let's stop just zooming ourselves all week long and go walk around the building and do your meeting. Right? I encourage you to do that. I'd much rather you go do that and talk and build a relationship and connection, rather than stare at each other through a Zoom call or something. So that could be a really easy thing. Make it easy for them. Pay them money to work out and take care of themselves, because if they don't, they are costing you more money than you probably want to admit to, whether it's insurance or liability of they end up going 1 or 2 out of 5 instead of 3 or 4 out of 5 in closing deals, because they are not energized, they are tired from the night before, their lunch was garbage, and they're going into the afternoon slump of energy. They are a liability of time, energy, and money, in a sense, if like you're the manager or the boss. So pour into them, buy them wearables, do step challenges, have water challenge, give them the tumbler thing, the Stanleys or the Yetis or whatever it is today, right? And pay them to move. A lot of, say, technical companies will have gyms in the office and encourage them, or even trainers and different whole fitness routines, classes and stuff for their people to attend. And certainly that goes by variation of size of the company and capacity and stuff, but that'd be a really easy way to encourage it. And then also, just from the front, is that if you're always putting out a message of that we take care of ourselves first, then that is going to seep into everyone's subconscious, and it's way easier to then attract people that already have that mindset. Like for me, I take care of myself because it's a congruency thing, right? I can't be the 20-pound overweight health coach. That doesn't make sense, right?
That'd be like being a sales coach who can't sell.
Exactly, right? Like, wait a minute here. How can I overcome the money objection again? You talked in circles and didn't really give me a clear,
Yes.
simple process to follow when that objection comes up. Or even more importantly, how do we prevent the money objection or the think about it objection or the spousal partner or whatever objection, right? On the front end, right? There's the where a true professional comes in of implementing those strategies. So those would be the ways that I would have is that you're breeding a culture, and if it's not that culture right now, it can be. It's just going to be an uphill battle in a sense. Whereas if you're starting out and it's always the culture, then you're going to attract the people. But hey, say some of the benefits. We have a gym on site, or we pay for your lunchtime workout, or we pay for your gym membership, or we give you a Fitbit when you sign up. These are incentivizing people that want to take care of themselves, which then you are buying into them and their health, which ultimately is their wealth, and it ends up just making it a lot easier of a circle to go around.
Yeah, and I love what you said about leading by example, not just in health, but in every way in sales, certainly. And I don't want to make this all about me, but since I've got you here, and I think what I'm about to ask you will apply to way more than
Sure.
just me. I think I said I lost 16 pounds. I'm actually down 23 pounds, but I've still got about 14 more to
Okay.
go. The truth is, I don't really care about the number. I care about how I look and feel. But
Right.
I know where I feel best, and I've still got about 14 to go. But recently, I've been out, lose a few, gain a few, lose a few, gain a few.
No
That roller
plateau.
coaster, and I know that partly it's a commitment issue because how did I lose the 23? I was committed and I'm very strict and did what I needed to do. But how do we get past a plateau like this to continue when we're trying to lose weight?
Well, real quick, let's go back to language. You use the word strict, okay? And what I do to maintain my health and weight, I've been in a 5-pound weight range for decades now. I don't do anything strict. I can't. I have 4 kids that are in the very much child rearing age. I might think I know what's for dinner tonight, and it might be pizza mutiny. The kids just starting chanting pizza, pizza, and next thing you know, pizza's in my house,
They're the
and I have
best
to deal with that.
salespeople.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so we don't want to use language around that. So we have to change and create insights and mindset shifts of how do we create a lifestyle that makes it easy for you to look and feel the way you want to. And then that again starts with those basic foundational things around eating the right types of food in the right amounts and the right times that you like to eat that tastes good. I would much rather have this thing that I'm planning for dinner tonight than to have that sugar bomb that of or that fast food thing that is unplanned. How do we make sure that we create movement that is exciting? How do we get our water in? How do we get our sleep? All those things are the basics. But going back to a good analogy of how do we get unstuck? And I do this every day with my clients, and you do it every day. I can only imagine every week where you are reviewing the prior week's efforts and the homework and the turning of it in and the doing of the things. And so a good sales professional is always looking backwards and reviewing what has happened to learn from. We're either winning, closing deals, making money, or improving your health and energy and all that, or we're learning. If you got your mind about you, we're not winning or losing, we're winning or learning, and we are getting the feedback that is telling us, hey, you're in a plateau. You are doing things that aren't aligned with the lifestyle that you want to look and feel in, or you are doing things in the sales process, or not getting on the call, or not having enough outreach, or not having the right type of messaging to get in front of the person in the first place. Or when you do get in front, you got that part of that slice of pie done. You are not communicating in a way somewhere in the sales process. You are putting your foot in your mouth and you kill the deal, or you don't have a good back end fulfillment. So you sell them, but then they feel like you ghosted them. Like, oh, they took my money and didn't give me anything, right? So these are all things that you can learn through the process of getting that client journey in a sense. So we review, we look backwards, we see what the client was doing, what their movement in my world of what the client did with their movement, what they did with their nutrition, how many meals that they made or ate out. Did they have any snacks? Did they have any social situations that threw them off? And we literally go one by one and start to talk through some of those things sometimes to help them change their mindset. Last night, I have a lady that sells medical devices and she's drives all over the place. So she's unfortunately overweight. She has more than one health issue that she's taking more than one medication for. And is dealing with vertigo too right now because a result of her present situation. And she ran into some girlfriends that ended up she ended up going out to lunch, and then she was going over for an evening meal with another group of friends, and those are heavy calorie issues, times that where she can easily make a choice that sends her way off the progress of taking care of herself. Or she still can go do those things, but we need a better strategy for her eating out, especially since she's on the road all the time. And we need a better strategy around how she grocery shops and how she plans her food in the day and what time she actually stops to eat the food, or the time that she takes out of her busy day to move her body, because she also has metal in her ankle, screws and plates and such. So I can't just have her go walk for 2 hours after her 9 hour day of driving around. That's not going to work. I need her to squeeze in little walk points throughout the day, being strategic, so she walks for 10 or 15 minutes and we don't blow up her ankle in 3 weeks because of overuse and inflammation and all that.
So am I correct that based on what you just said, you have your clients track everything they eat and their exercise and their water and all that stuff?
No, that would be an assumption.
So how would we look back then?
We would look back. Well, there's a lot of different ways that we can go about tracking nutrition in a sense. And one of them is tracking food. Another is doing taking pictures of food. I have people do that regularly, sending me menus to restaurants that they go out to eat, sharing their step and activity. So there is some accountability and direction on what they need to do on those basics every single day. And then my job is I'll figure out where do they get stuck and what's a better solution for them to implement in. So late night eating ends up being, for that one guy, caution tape, because that actually worked for him and it stopped the night eating, because he would run into it and be like, ah, this is a bad decision. It was that pattern interrupt that caused him to stop and think about what he was going to do. So in that situation, yes, there's still some form of calorie awareness and managing the habits and behaviors that they do have to be accountable to me for.
Right, but maybe I'm confused. So I thought I heard you say, well, one of the things we want to do is review.
Yes.
But
Yes.
how do we review if we didn't write it
Well,
down or track it
well,
somehow?
we talk, we communicate. I ask
You
questions.
think
They
I'm going
give
to
me
remember
answers.
what I ate Monday?
No, it's humans have patterns of behavior, and you understand that with the sales,
Sure, of
right?
course.
If we could have a 15-20 minute conversation and you would have me figure it out up and down where my strengths, weaknesses were, where what I do or don't need to be doing in my sales process to make 10% better even next week. Where Brian, do this one thing or that and this other thing too, and then let me know how that goes. And that's exact same thing, is that I'm going to tell you what my sales experience went like and give you those golden nuggets of data along the way to then be able to evaluate where this person is at in their journey. And that's just through just sheer volumes of experience. And you have more than I do, obviously, in your chosen field to just age.
Got it. What is Rise 72? I found that on your website. What is Rise 72?
Yeah, Rise 72 is the 3-day fat loss protocol. It's really the Kickstarter, kick in the pants, a very simple protocol to follow around nutrition, around movement, around starting to reframe your mindset piece.
To lose weight for
To
3 days? Oh, 72 hours. Duh.
Yeah, exactly. So 3-day. We don't need 75 hard. We don't need this the I'm not going to eat this whole food group for however much time. We just need small incremental steps. And that's what the Rise 72 is. It's let's get refocused and use that initiation energy that you have of getting excited about doing something new, and be able to start to formalize the actual real behaviors of picking out food, putting them in portions and practicing that portion control, and then eating it in a better time, and moving your body in a way that's simple, that's easy to reproduce and do. That's what the Rise 72 is about. So it's just a 3-day Kickstarter. Yeah, like, hey, Brian, I'm interested in what you do. I'd like to try something out. Like, I might not be ready for your 12-week sales program, but you would probably have some sort of an intro to me, get to know, like, and trust you quickly, in a sense. And even that's why you're doing these live trainings every week, right? This is a snippet of, hey, get to know, like, and trust me by listening in, and go listen to 3 of them. And if you like what I say and how I present myself, then you would likely be a good fit for my sales lab.
Yeah.
So
So
that's what that
I
is.
find when you're generous and you give people advice for free and you show them who you are, then
Yeah.
they do
Yes.
exactly what you said, get to know you. Now, is Rise 72 the same as the Call to Rise program? And if not, what's the
Oh,
difference?
yeah. So the call to rise is a 100-day fat loss challenge.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Uh,
72. I mean, I
yeah,
don't need to lose weight for 3 days. I need to, or maybe some people
right,
do. Maybe they only need to lose
right,
2 or 3 or 5 pounds. But
right.
well, maybe I'm wrong, but I think most people who are looking to lose weight typically have more than 2 or 3 pounds.
Of
10, 20
course.
could be. I mean, I know my stepfather lost 105 pounds at one
Yeah,
time, which was,
right.
but on Weight Watchers, and it was astounding. And I always say, oh, maybe this is perfect sense, because I always say it's hard to do big things, but it's easy to do small
Yeah.
things. And I always use the example: I can lose 3 pounds in a couple of days.
Yes.
100 pounds, that's going to
Yeah.
take me a lot longer. So
Yep.
is that what the Call to Rise program's about?
Yeah. So we start with the 3 days of, wow, Brian made it really simple for me to put some nutrition protocols into play. It's really easy. You just eat some protein, some vegetables or fruit, and some starchy carb in portions. It's blatantly simple on how I lay it out. You just literally go do the thing, and you will feel better in 72 hours, which then you're like, oh, I need more. And I know I need to lose 20 or 30 or 50 pounds, or I have type 2 diabetes, or my cholesterol's high. If you're a guy in your 40s and you're 30 pounds overweight with high cholesterol on medicine, you're a walking heart attack at some point. You're a ticking time bomb, and something's going to give. And it's not going to be your health, you bettering your health. It's going to be a heart attack, a stroke, other disease, a physical body limitation of an injury that set you back for 4 months. Oh, my back hurts. Yeah. Now you are even in a worse position than you were. That's the reality. And a lot of people know what to do, but they're not doing it. And that's what the call to rise is rise up, guys. It's a men's program to help come together with like-minded individual driven, successful business people, sales, marketing, entrepreneurs, leaders, but they're successful in business. I hope they're successful in their family, and that's a byproduct of what we do by making them more successful in their health. And in that 100 days, we have weekly challenges. There's quarterly assessments to make sure we're staying on track. There's very specific, easy to implement protocols and processes around nutrition, around fitness, and you're being led by me. I have literally done only this in my whole career for 23 years, is help people improve themselves. You're one conversation about 8 of that I'm going to be having today with other people, to listen to where their situation is, and then give them actionable advice that it's easy to follow through with, because if I make it easy for them, then I'm making it way easier for myself.
Exactly right. And I say the same thing about sales. Make it
Yep.
easy for people to do business with you. Make it
Yep.
easy for people to say
Yep.
yes. Make it easy for people to say
Yep.
no. And you mentioned, you're a walking heart attack. This brings me back to something you said earlier, and I forgot to mention it. I actually went through a sleep study, and
Okay.
my doctor said, you don't have severe sleep apnea, but you're like 1 millimeter below
Well,
severe.
there's why you
And I didn't
sleep.
know this, but he said
Yeah.
sleep apnea is the #1 cause of heart attack. I did not know that. And he had me wearing, the mask at night and doing this. I hated the thing.
I'm sure
I
it's
said,
not
you know what? I'm going to lose some, because he said, if you lose some weight, you might not need to do this. And I was like,
right.
oh, let's get the machine. No. I don't like the machine. As much as I don't like not
Machines or
eating everything I
meds,
want
or
whenever I want
yeah.
to, I'd rather do that than have that
And
machine.
for that situation, I would be leveraging that against you in the most ethical way. Jeff, you don't want the sleep machine. You don't want medications. You
Oof.
want to live. You want to live, 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 die. That's the
Yes,
way you want your life to be. And you don't want to
exactly
just
right.
go from 70 to however much longer you got here, just a slow, agonizing death of chronic illness,
Yep.
disease, medications, time, energy, and money spent on insurance, doctor visits, poor health. Oh, I gotta buy this thing now because of this. My knee hurts or whatever, and I got this thing now. Nobody wants that.
Yeah. The other thing I did, you might find this interesting, or maybe you disagree with it, but because I didn't want to wear the machine, I'd started to lose some weight and was feeling better. I started buying Breathe Right strips
Oh yeah,
at
totally.
night. And then I saw, Alex Hormozy, you know who he is.
Yeah, Hormozy's
He-
got his.
yeah, the intake breathing. And I'm like, I'm going
Yeah,
to check that out. They're
yeah,
freaking phenomenal. The
that's
Breathe Right
awesome.
strips made a little difference. That
Right,
intake thing is, it's a little bit expensive, but
right.
boy,
Well,
I wear
it
it every
solves a
night while I'm
problem
sleeping.
quickly, right?
It's like
Yeah,
you put it on and immediately like, oh my God, I didn't realize I wasn't breathing. I wear
right,
it when I ride my bike. It's
right,
phenomenal.
right.
Worth
And
every penny.
if you hear Alex's story about his breathing and why he wears it all the time, then you would
All the
understand
time.
why he wears it all the time because he can't breathe. His nose is just wrecked in
Yep.
terms of airway and he can't breathe. And I don't have that issue. I don't know what it's like to not be able to breathe or get a good deep breath of air. I could go and I feel satisfied. I feel oxygenated. And
Yep.
if I went to that same effort and just go nothing else happened, that would be shallow breathing. It's not fun. And so that's why he provided that solution. And
Yeah.
yeah, it might cost a little bit more, but it works to what 10 times better than a breathe right strip.
I'd say 10 times could be true. It's at
Yeah.
least five. The
Yeah,
difference
right.
is
It's
the
hard
difference is
to
astounding.
ignore Hermosi these days. He is anywhere, everywhere, and
Yeah.
he does good work at the
Yeah. He's
very
great.
least.
He's brilliant at what
I've
he
got
does.
his book over here, actually, the money models and
Oh
all
yeah,
that
I
stuff.
got
So
all of his books.
all of
He's
it, yeah.
fantastic. He's really great. Yeah, and I can breathe, but I'm telling you,
Yeah,
this thing makes an
yeah,
amazing difference. It's
that's
when
great.
I put
And
it
you can
on, like,
see the iterations of what is on his nose over the years of a salad collar to his eye at 1/0 to now he just has that. That must be the newest form of it.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, the
very, very
best
cool. Hey,
iteration so far.
we're almost out of time.
Yep.
What's one habit that every salesperson listening right now could start today that would help them sell more in say the next 90 days?
Yeah, definitely. Write this down, everyone. Grab paper, grab pencil, real quick. It's a simple question. Are my choices moving me towards my health goals, which are ultimately then my sales goals? So I'll say it one more time. Are my choices moving me towards my health goals, which are ultimately my sales goals? That would be the best thing because then it sticks in the mind. It's not some trick or whatever tip or something. It's literally a thought process that I need people to think about to stop the patterns of behaviors that they're in to get them making better choices. If you take a buffer time in the day and you go out and move after a stressful sales situation and you breathe and you get some water in and you decrease your stress levels dramatically in that 10-minute time frame, and then you can think clearly, okay, that's done. Now, what's the next thing ahead? And you can go with a more clear, productivity driven mindset to be able to facilitate and be resourceful around what you need to do next, which is all any part of a successful life.
Fantastic. So,
Yeah.
Brian, if somebody wants to be in the Rise 72 program or the Call to Rise or to work with you on a one-on-one basis,
Yeah.
how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah. You'll find me in socials at Coach Brian Parana. You can find me at the website, thecalltorise.com. If you're not ready for a 100-day commitment, which is fine, we didn't know each other just yet. You'll get to know me, follow me, and maybe give me a heart on Instagram or something or LinkedIn because I post all the time. But then the Rise 72 is linked on that. But you'll see some incredible transformations of everyday people, guys that are doing, and I do work with women too. It's just that's the main program that I spend a lot of my effort and time on.
Gotcha. And if you're looking for Coach Brian Parana, it's not Piranha like the fish. It's Parana.
Yeah.
Parana.
Sounds
Brian,
like the fish, but not spelled.
and not as dangerous, I'm assuming.
No, I'm easy to get along with.
Perfect. Well, Brian, thank you so much for sharing your
Yeah.
brilliance with us so generously. And I'll end this as I always do. Guys, please remember that sales is a game of making things happen. Get out there and make sales happen. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great weekend, Brian. Thanks again.
Thank you.